Hey guys, it's Abby and today I am doing the anti-hype tag. So Pablo from Pablo Suarez put an original tag up of the anti-hype tag and I love watching his videos, so I saw it pretty quickly and I knew I had to do it. I've been filming today as well as doing some other bookish stuff, so I have makeup on, my room's a mess, got my contacts in, and I thought that we could do the anti-hype tag while I took off my face and tidied up my room. So let's get into the questions. I'm going to put up a timestamp here for anybody who doesn't like contacts or eye touching. You can skip to this point in time here and you won't see any of it. So before I touch my eyes, I'll mention that the first question is, what book have you read that you know for a fact none of your subscribers or friends have read? So I read quite a lot of not very well known books, just purely because I pick them up randomly off of charity shops and things like that when I read them. So there are quite a few that I could pick for this, but obviously usually when I think of books, I think of the hyped ones. I do know that The Universe vs. Alex Woods is... I was about to put my glasses on, but I need to take the makeup off my face. The Universe vs. Alex Woods is a book that I really love by Gavin Extance, and that one is pretty unknown, the same as The Empathy Problem by him as well. Had a problem remembering that for a second. Two books that I absolutely adored. I loved those so much and I don't hear anyone talking about them. Also there was Other Minds by Peter Godfrey Smith, which is a non-fiction book. I'm gonna have to put these up here. And that is a non-fiction about octopi, and it's genuinely really interesting. It goes into like a lot of facts about how we expect life to have developed on Earth, and how these octopi have evolved separately from us and completely like independently, but also as intelligent creatures. There are other books that are less well known on my TBR, but I can still think of people who've read them, so I think that's about it. I think the only other one, unless Carrie's read it because I think I told her that she should, is Cleopatra's Shadows by Emily Holloman. That is a really, really well done YA historical fiction set in Egyptian times about the sisters of Cleopatra. Well, two of the sisters. And it's a really, really interesting book. It's really well written and is as historically accurate as it can be for the knowledge that we have on the time. I really do recommend that one. It is also written just kind of like a standard, I don't know, because it's clearly historical, but it feels fantastical because obviously to us, the ancient Egyptians don't feel quite real. And obviously it's all the politics of it and things like that, so I think it's a really fun book, and I really do recommend that one. So if Carrie hasn't read it, because she has enough books on her TBR, then I don't think anyone's read that one. So that's the one I'm going to recommend, but I also loved the other three as well. Okay, that should be most of my makeup off. This is just like a cheap knockoff version of the Magic Eraser. I got it from Primark, like in 2016. So, oh, the glasses get clean. What book were or are you obsessed with, and you were or are surprised when you discovered no one knows about it? Not that no one knows about it, but that it's not known enough, is the Finishing School series by Gail Carriger. So that is, the first book is Etiquettes and Espionage, then it's... Etiquettes and Espionage, Waistcoats and Weaponry, and Manners and Mutiny, Curtsies and Conspiracies. I love that series so much. It's so much fun. It's a steampunk Victorian finishing school for spies. Next up, because I'm going to go with that one because I talk about those a lot. I mean, obviously, to be fair, a book that I'm obsessed with that no one knows about it. Again, it's not that no one knows, it's just that it's not massively hyped, and that's the Pellinore series. I adore the Pellinore series. Again, Skullduggery, it's well known, but it's not massively hyped. So I guess any of those could be the option for that. The next question is, what book from a genre you don't normally read do you hold in the same regard as your genre of choosing book? So my genre of choosing is fantasy, so... I mean, historical fictions like The Bone Thief. I guess it's technically kind of fantasy, but it's meant to be a historical fiction. I adore that book so much. I cried. Agatha Christie books, I love those. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with The Bone Thief? The Bone Thief. Why is that not a book? I mean, it probably is, but I think I'm going to go with that one. Let me quickly go check my shelves. Okay, so I have remembered / seen another book that would count, and it's from my childhood, and that's Goodnight Mr. Tom by Michelle Magorian. I read this when I was so young, probably about 7, and it really stuck with me. It is a middle grade, I guess, book about a young boy who is evacuated from London to the countryside, but his life in London, he was actually quite abused by his mother, and so he is very within his shell when he goes to the countryside, and he's drawn out of his shell by Mr. Tom, and it's a whole thing around that. So it's a historical fiction, it's gorgeous, it's so gorgeous, so that's the one I'm gonna go with. I guess I could also go with things like classics that I've loved. So I've really liked Pride and Prejudice, I really like Frankenstein, I'm really loving War and Peace. So classics are a genre that I don't go towards all that often, but I'm reading more now and I'm enjoying them. What non-popular book did you recommend to a friend who later ended up loving it? Okay, I've definitely made Carrie read books. What have I made her read? I mean, I've made her read Pellinor, and she she really enjoyed Pellinor. There's definitely at least that. Why are these questions so difficult, Pablo? Because I know in reverse, like Long Walk to Freedom is technically a popular book, but also who's read it? It's 700 pages long. Me, I loved it. Oh, I was recommended and then recommended on the Murderbot series, All Systems Red. So Veronica reads books. She's linked down below. Sorry, Veronica. She got me that as a gift, just randomly. It wasn't on my TBR or my wishlist or anything, but somehow she knew exactly that I would love it. I did, I loved it so much. And I then recommended that to Carrie by buying her it. Apparently that's how that one gets recommended. And she's now read 2 of the first 3 books. I bought her the first 3 and she really enjoyed them, so I'm gonna go with Murderbot. And then the final question is, what is the most obscure fantasy book you could think of? I cannot remember the author, but it's The Valley of Secrets. This is my first DNF as a child. I put it down because I was fed up with it. I couldn't get through the beginning of the book. I was so bored. And then I ended up going, like, it was my first time ever in my life experiencing a DNF. So I was like, right, screw it. I'm gonna read the end. I'm gonna see what the end's like. Because I'd never DNF'd, I was still nosy, I still am, that's why I don't DNF that often. So I was like, screw it, reading the end, let's go. And then I read the entire book because the end was that good. It's the only time in my life that I have ever done that. Ever. And I'm so glad I did, because I think I probably would have gotten rid of that book if I hadn't have read the end. The beginning is nothing like the rest of the book whatsoever. It is a very slow, very dull beginning, and it does contrast well with the rest of the book, but I just struggled to get through it at first. Reading it back now as an adult, I'm like, why are we struggling? It's not very long. But clearly it just really wasn't pulling me in, and I really didn't care. And then I was like, right, screw it, let's read that last chapter, and I was like, excuse me. And I went straight back and read the entire thing, and I loved it. It's so beautiful. So yes, despite the fact that you're gonna have to read at least 50 pages to care, like at least 50 where it starts picking up, I really do recommend this. I guess it's a middle grade or maybe young YA, somewhere in that bracket, fantasy book that I have never seen anyone else mention. And that is the anti-hype tag. I did not get as much tidying done as I wanted to, and I now look like an absolute trash fire. We love it. Let me know down in the comments below the book that you love the most, that you hear nobody talking about. You found it randomly in a bookshop one day and you picked it up and you love it. Let me know that down in the comments below. And that is the anti-hype TBR tag. I used to read a lot more less popular books when I was younger, which is why a lot of these books are middle grade and young YA that I'm picking, because I used to just wander the shelves into British Smiths. I have memories of this, and I would pick a book, and I wasn't allowed to get loads of books at once because Mum wouldn't pay for them and I didn't have money, so I would get one book and I wouldn't pay for it myself, Mum would pay for it, and I would pick one, or she would have a look and see if any sounded interesting. I'm pretty sure The Gift is one that my mum bought me just on a whim, just thought, looks like Abby, or like that. And then she got me I remember she got me the gift and I read it really quickly and I was like, it's amazing. So then she went and got the other 3 in the series. There's another one now that was added, a prequel, but she went and bought the other 3 and she was like, here you go. I read them like straight away. She was like, they were meant to last. I was like, what did you want me to do? I have many fond memories of browsing the bookshelves, both at the libraries and in the bookshop that my mum used to work in. I'd love to go back to that. So that's partly why as well I'm trying to get through my TBR, my physical owned TBR. Some of them are books that I've done that for when I first got back into reading again, where I saw them and I picked them up. For example, Smiler's Fair by Rebecca Levine. I don't know if any of you will have heard of it, but at this point in time I've not read it, so it couldn't be used for any of these questions because I don't know if I like it or not. So I do miss being able to do that and just finding books that sound interesting, but I can't justify doing that when I still have so many books on my TBR. So that's why I'm trying to get my TBR down, so that I can actually go and do that. Pablo, you did a great job with this tag. It was a lot of fun, just as fun as your video. So I'm obviously leaving Pablo linked down below with his video for this tag, the original one, as well as the 6 channels that I mentioned to tag them in. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please do make sure to check out everybody that I tagged down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe. Most of them are a little more put together than this. This is literally just put up while I'm tidying the shit tip that is my room. But thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye!